desk a little neat here. I'd like to officially welcome all of you who are here live, those of you who will be watching this recording. We have reviewers who will be also participating either live or from the recording. These are people who did the first iteration in November, just a little bit over a month ago. And I got some really positive feedback about that, and people were bummed out that they couldn't attend. And I also, it was the first time that I ever taught this particular class. So I thought, I'm going to do this again. And anybody who missed it the first time will have another opportunity. So I really want to thank you all for being here. And also just acknowledging that those of you who are here live, besides the fact that you get the direct experience of an interactive experience and connecting with the Q&A and each other, you really offer a gift to those who can't be here, because you give voice to things that a lot of people might be thinking, wondering, asking, something that really validates their own experience. Those who will be watching the recording, that's a real gift. So thank you for that role you play, whether you realize you're doing it or not. So with that, what I'd like to do is I want to help us to settle in with a card that I read last time that really captures what I am holding for this experience. You all shared, and Nahareen, welcome. Feel free to share in the chat what it is, how you would like to feel as a result of participating in this workshop. And how I am feeling now, what I hope you will all feel, and what I hold for this training is inspiration. I hope that you will all be inspired. I believe you will be. This tends to be something either a little bit or a lot about your capacity to tap into your power beyond the limits of where you have before. So I think most of you know, but if you don't know, I released this past May, a labor of love. It's called the Receive Oracle Cards. Okay. And this whole deck of cards is a really easy, kind of fun way to have something physical that you can connect with every day to explore how to receive your fulfillment by unlearning struggles. So this is what the backs of the cards look like. And each card illuminates a receiving principle. So there are 4 suits. The first suit is Receive with Ease, which teaches principles about how to receive, because receiving is its own skill. Receive Your Needs, because in order to receive your wants, you need to know how to receive your needs. And many of us are disconnected from that. And that's a very important aspect of the power of being. Receive Your Wants. So in that suit, we talk about, in the cards, there's 14 common wants that we all would like to receive, everything from physical world things like love or relationship, money, as well as inner world things like freedom and peace and joy. So these are 14 wants that are very common to us as human beings. And finally, receive soothing. Today, we're going to be talking about the alternative to what the doing does. Doing relates to everything as a problem to solve. So we try to fix everything in order to have what we want. That includes we try to fix ourselves and our feelings, but that actually creates more suffering. The being model nurtures instead. So receiving soothing is a beautiful, powerful, and important skill set in surpassing your limits. And so there's 14 cards around soothing. Okay. So today's card is from the Receive Your Wants. Can somebody, tell me, nod your head if that's backwards, not correct to you as opposed to backwards. Can you see this? It says, okay, great. So receive inspiration, and there's a willingness mantra or willingness affirmation, which I invite you to take on today. I am willing to be inspired. And I'm going to read to you the passage in the little booklet. By the way, this comes with the cards. If you don't have a deck and you'd like to get a deck, it's on Amazon. So I'm going to invite you to listen to this and just let the words wash over you. Receive inspiration.
Tanya?
Yes?
Your share screen is on, so you are tiny. and we can see your.
Oh, you can see these, the chats.
So I can see your deck, but I can't see you. Like you are just tiny on the side.
Yeah, that's actually how it's gonna be in no, actually on yours, you should be able to also have access to the gallery, to the different views while we're live.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that you're not able to do that?
I can see that. I just didn't know if you wanted to be larger in when you're talking.
Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna leave the slides on because for the recording, it tends to.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no, thank you for that, because Heather and I, by the way, this is a good opportunity to just hit the pause button. Heather, can you just wave so everybody knows who's talking? So Heather is my operations manager and handles all things customer service. So if you ever have any customer service needs or questions, that's who's responding to you. And she's really committed to making sure that you have what you need. So she's here to assist and always in the background helping me work out the kinks and see them before I keep running with a kink. So thanks. But I do want to have the screen up. So thanks. Okay, so let these words wash over you. This card is receive inspiration. $92. And by the way, if anybody has any technical issues with Zoom or questions, please put it in the chat because that's part of what Heather's here to support us with is the technology piece. All right, here we go. Receive inspiration. Do you seek creative inspiration? Are you looking for the next fun idea that propels you into action? This is your soul nudging you, letting you know it wants to expand, express, create, contribute, or play. When this feeling arises within you, it can be exciting. You can feel that there is something inside of you that wants to come out. Yet we can struggle when we can feel it, but we can't see the thing that wants to come forth or a way to make it happen. This is because you can't make creative inspiration happen. You can only invite it and receive it. The making it happen part happens after the inspiration or idea is received. You may struggle when you call in the mental problem-solving team too soon. These enthusiastic busy bees in your mind crowd the space of your awareness and get so loud that you can't see or hear anything else. When you over-rely on thinking and action, you will struggle. Yet when you remember that creative expression requires both receptivity and activity, then inspiration can flow. Next time you find yourself stuck in the pursuit of a breakthrough, an idea, or a solution, stop and tell the problem-solving team in your mind that you're taking a break. Shift from action orientation to a receiving orientation by physically changing the position of your body or the physical environment that you're in. In other words, literally walk away. Take a few very deep, long breaths and let yourself shift from doing and thinking to being and feeling. As the noise and activity of your mind settles, a space will open up. Space is the invitation. Life loves to fill up space, and sooner or later, when you least expect it, the inspiration will appear. So your mantra is, I am willing to be inspired. You can say that, think that anytime, especially if you're feeling stuck, looking for answers and solutions, or you just feel unmotivated or inertia around doing things that you know you want to be doing, but it's just not happening. Instead of talking to yourself with a self-deprecating voice or come on, you should, or why are you procrastinating? Instead, just invite that. I'm willing to be inspired. I'm willing to feel inspired. So I really like this card as something that can kind of give you some guidance about how to relate to today's workshop, which is as we move through this, it's not uncommon that you'll start to feel a little bit inspired or understand a piece, but maybe not understand another piece. And sometimes what happens is we try to grab onto the understanding with our mind and or figure something out, and then it distracts us from whatever's being offered in the class. We can get lost in it. If it causes some like struggle within you, and you're wanting to understand and you're not able to in the moment, what I'd like to invite you, like this receive card, is let this workshop wash over you. Okay, you're going to receive everything you need. Be open to the flow. We'll have plenty of opportunity for questions. Write them down. We'll have 2 Q&A sessions. I'll talk about ways you can get your questions answered tomorrow if you can attend live or send them in. So just let this workshop wash over you. That opens the flow to being inspired in ways that perhaps you didn't even imagine were possible. All right. So with that, what I'd love to do is have everyone a chance to meet who's here live, hear each other's voices. And I'm going to have you check in. But before I do that, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. My intention is to use the recording for this workshop in the future for other people. So Heather is going to include a link in the chat, it's just one very simple student agreement form. If you don't mind being recorded, if you're happy to share, and let other people benefit from it, then great, you can complete that agreement. But if you don't want to, that's absolutely your prerogative. And there's 2 ways that we protect your privacy. One is if you're comfortable when you do share, you can just turn off the camera. I won't be using your last names, and you can just share freely. You will not be recorded. The recording, the way it works is it records the slide that you see and the active speakers. So whenever I'm talking, you're just free to have your camera on, let me see you, let other people see you. You will not be recorded. You're only going to be recorded when when you're speaking. So that's one way. And you might have a picture that will pop up. So that's something to be mindful of if you don't want that either. If you also, what we can do is we'll just edit you out. So you can just send an email to Heather Customer Care. We'll make note of who would like to be edited out. We will edit you out. Okay. But if you're comfortable, then just complete the agreement form. It's just a little box to check, a little thing to read that says, yes, I understand this is public and will be recorded. And I give you permission, and you'll just check that off. So the link is going to be included there. And the most important thing is that you all feel really comfortable to be here fully, experience this, share what you want to share, and know that your privacy and confidentiality is absolutely going to be honored. All right, within the context of today's workshop. So any questions about that? Just speak up if you do. Otherwise, we can just move forward. You can also put them in the chat. Okay. All right. So what I'd love to do is have everyone share what is one area of your life where you have felt limited, since this whole class is about surpassing your limits. What is one area of your life where you have felt limited? And if you want to share, just to unpack it a little bit more, since we have a more intimate live group today, maybe say one thing that you've tried to surpass your limits. How have you tried to get beyond that upper limit in any capacity? All right. Let's see here. Is somebody feeling inspired to share? If not, I'll pick on someone. You can just speak up if you are.
I'll go.
Great. And why don't you just say your first name so everyone knows who's talking.
I'm Lara. And the question, say it again, Sonia, can you repeat it?
Yes, one area of life where you have felt limited, and perhaps what have you tried? What strategies have you tried to surpass those limits?
Okay. This has come up for me a lot just recently, but I feel limited in, it's just really hard for me to wrap my mind around that things can come easy and I don't have to struggle. And that ties in kind of to worthiness. Am I worthy of it coming easy? Well, no, I'm not worthy of it coming easy. I have to struggle to have something. So that's kind of like a, like a dog chasing its tail situation. So I try my best, but it's tough. It's a struggle for me to not struggle.
Okay. Thank you. We are going to talk about that today. Thanks, Lara. Who's next? We'll go popcorn style. Who's going to pop?
I'll pop.
Great.
So my name is Ruth, and the area I feel limited is being in doing mode. I'm a nurse, and it's just it's hard, and I really struggle with just feeling like I'm not doing enough, or I can't do my job really the way I'm supposed to, because I just get caught up. I get caught up in other people's fear and other people's anger at this. And I lose sight of like why I do what I do.
Thank you, Ruth. My intention is to address everything that people share, weave it in as the program moves through. And if I miss it, or there's something more, please raise your hand. Does everyone know how to raise your hand with Zoom? Okay, so raise your hand, and that way I'll know when I'm tying up a thought to check in with you. Okay, so I want to make sure that these particular shares get addressed because they're really important. Thank you. Who's going to pop next?
I will. So I think, and this is something that has come more in my awareness just over the last couple of weeks, is feeling worthy of just about anything. Specifically in finances recently, but in other aspects as well.
Okay. How have you tried to address this in the past?
Well, I've done therapy. I've read a lot of books. I've talked about it. I've asked people for ideas and for help. A lot of doing. trying to find an answer, trying to fix it.
Okay. Thanks, Heather. You will talk about that too. So Julie or Nahareen, who's going to pop next?
I can go next.
Okay.
And I'm sort of struggling on how to word this, because I think it's a cross between being and doing. And it's, I guess it's finding the balance between being and doing. I feel like I struggle with being successful in my business. And to me, that means having it be prosperous. And then if then I'll get what I want. Between working hard on my business and then the beingness, which is to step back and sort of like do nothing. It's hard to sometimes. So what I struggle with is either not doing enough or doing too much to have that dream come true kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. So it's sort of this balance between work and life and being and doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to just say a thought, and then my intention is that we're going to go deeper with it, but I'm always afraid I'm going to forget. So I'm just going to give you the punchline. And I know, because this is a very common question. Once you start to actually understand the power of being, then what tends to happen is people feel almost split. Like, I've got these two skill sets. How do they work together? And when do I do and when do I be? So this is your guideline of thumb. Okay. When in doubt, be first. When not in doubt, when you're happy doing, do. But when you're struggling, we stop, become aware, be first. And that being skill set is then what inspires and informs the doing from a much more powerful place rather than a struggle-based doing. I'll say one more thing that kind of ties into Ruth's share. And what we just started with this whole program about checking in over the holidays. When you're in doing mode, I won't get into all the reasons this can happen, but doing generally is like a locomotion, like a locomotive train, and you get wrapped up and sucked up, and it has this force and this momentum. So when you're in doing mode, one of the hardest things to do, especially if you have over relied on doing, is to stop. Because doing has been a source of safety as well. So that's part of what reinforces that. If I can just do, if I can solve this, then everything then I can rest, then I'll feel better if I can just fix it. So it's ingrained, it's practice, it's ruts on the road that our wagon wheels follow. So the way we bring the doing into balance with being, because it's not about getting rid of the doing, it's bringing it into right now it's doing is up here and being is down here. So our journey to surpass, that is the cause of your upper limit. You keep doing this, and you can only go so far. And being is available to you, super powerful, but we have to nourish this. Then we have both skill sets available. And the way we nourish this is through practicing. The very first thing that we practice is stopping. It's in awareness. The more you practice it, the more this is going to be much more available when you need it, as opposed to getting lost in the doing and then having to pull yourself back and then try to calm down. Okay, so I just really wanted to address this now because I can already feel some themes emerging. All right. When in doubt, be first. But what happens for most of us is when in doubt, we do first. Just jump into doing, right? That'll work to a point. So thank you, Nahareen. And Julie, how about you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I've never done Zoom before, so I wasn't sure if I was on. I'm Julie, and I guess my, where I feel limited is just trying to juggle everything and being out of balance and having too much to do and wanting to do everything between work, family, home, starting a small business, and just trying to keep it all going and inspired. And I love to be creative, so a lot of things don't get done because then I procrastinate. So just trying to find a good balance. And then I love the stopping because that really does help me. So it's good to know that and be reminded of that. So, and then the creativity flows. It's just trying to do too much kind of makes me do nothing. So that's.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So, how have you tried to address this in the past, this too muchness?
Lists and, writing it down and making a plan. And then I find myself, just with piles of lists. So just, I think giving myself permission to, stop would be where I'd like to start, and then let things happen more naturally than just being overwhelmed by piles of lists.
Excellent. So very much in doing mode. Okay. The hunter, or other metaphors for doing, is the project manager. So one of the ways we fix the problem of too much is trying to get organized linear, right? So I'm going to give you one more kind of little nugget that you can write down. And then as we go through, if it doesn't get addressed enough or you want more on this, we'll help you. Doing is very organized and linear, has a plan. The being is messy. Miracles happen in the messy. So as we nurture being, we start to tap into the surrendering to the messy and feeling safe in it and trusting it and watching what can happen. Childbirth is messy, gardening is messy, art is messy, and beautiful things and miracles come out of that. And it's way more fun and a lot less work. So just hold on to that nugget and then make sure that if we didn't address it or you have more questions about that, that you chime in, okay? All right, well, thank you all. This really helps me connect with all of you. So we're gonna just keep on keeping on. And Lara, you need to leave, cut out at some point and maybe you'll pop back or you can do the recording.
I'm gonna try. I may just be able to keep it on and kind of
Multitask?
chime in when I can. I'll
Okay.
try my best.
Okay, good. It's messy, but it works. Great. All right, so let's see. This was working earlier. I wanted to, why isn't this working? Oh, I know. Let's try that. There we go. All right, so what to expect today? So we're doing this overview. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit more of an overview for how to hold today's experience. We're gonna talk about why this class matters. I'm going to share a little bit more about me and how it is that I've arrived at what I'm teaching today, not just in terms of the content, the material, but why I don't even have a word that's stronger than believing in this. I mean, I believe in it on steroids. I mean, I know from witnessing countless examples of people who are able to surpass their limits when they start practicing tapping into the power of being, that this works. And so a little bit more about how I've arrived at that. Then the heart of today is we're going to go over 3 blind spots and their corresponding essential insights that allow you to surpass your limits. And, you know, I've been a coach for more than 25 years now, and it's taken me the greater part of my professional journey to find the language and the messaging that feels like it's finally dialed in. And I've tried many different ways of identifying, well, who do I work with? You know, I definitely attract, I had a coach used to say, your clients will be a version of you. So I attract high achieving, high functioning, highly competent women for the most part, but I do and have always worked with men. And every time I tried to just focus on women, it just didn't feel right to me because because, you know, the other half of the world is other gendered or men, right? And it just felt too limiting. And I knew that these principles were helpful to everyone. So I've really found a way to identify that really the people that I'm best suited to work with are what I call ambitious, goal-oriented people. Okay. And of all genders. And when I looked at it that way, what I found is that ambitious, goal-oriented people tend to have a very common set of blind spots that keep them working hard and successful to a point, but also limited. All right. So these are the 3 blind spots that I find are like what really just blows the ceiling off your limit when you really can see clearly and why this works. And then the essential insights that will allow you to run with these new awarenesses. So that's going to be the heart and soul of what we do today. And then at the end, we'll wrap up with next steps and Q&A. All right. So the purpose of today's workshop is to illuminate your happily ever after path by showing you the blind spots that have caused unnecessary struggle. That's the purpose, to illuminate your happily ever path by showing you blind spots that have caused unnecessary struggle. By the way, you will all receive the recording to this. You will receive these exact slides. But if there's anything that you really like, you can take a screenshot or take photos if it's easier than writing things down. Now, the theme for the whole workshop is when you see what you couldn't see, you're liberated to receive what was always here. When you see what you couldn't see, you are liberated to receive what was always here. So this starts to point to why I'm so passionate about illuminating blind spots. The foundation that everything that we do at Surpass Your Limits, which is going to be the new name of my company, it used to be Success for the Soul. So that's the expansion and evolution. The foundation of everything, this is the first principle on everything else, is your consciousness creates your reality. We're going to be talking a lot about that today. So your consciousness is the sum total of everything happening in your inner world. Now, your inner world is an entire universe, an entire terrain that you get to tap into. But as human doings, when we're operating more as human doings, the terrain and the universe that we're much more familiar with, much more skilled at, that we've been validated for, reinforced for, paid for in the doing is the physical world. And the physical world we engage with with our five senses, what you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. And we also engage with it a lot with our minds. Okay. Doesn't mean your human being doesn't engage with the physical world, but in terms of skills, that's where a lot of our awareness goes. And that's a lot of where we get our sense of power. Again, great and productive to a point. But if that's where you give most of your attention, then this whole inner world becomes this resource that's untapped. And so your consciousness creates your reality. And when you see what you couldn't see, all of a sudden your perspective, which is part of your consciousness, opens up. Just by seeing something you couldn't see, very powerfully, very dramatically, can allow you to receive more, because you're opening up your vision. You had blind spots or blinders, and now you see more, and now you're able to receive more. So it's like that. That's why somebody can help you see something in a different way, and you can go from struggling to feeling relief immediately. All right. And this ripples out into what you manifest, what you experience in your inner world, what you manifest in your outer world. And I love this kind of really simple metaphor for this is, imagine that I point you to a door and I say, through that door is a room where is everything you ever wanted. Everything is in there. So you open the door, you go in, and it's black. The lights are out and everything that you want is in there. So you go around trying to find the things you want, and you're like stumbling and you can't see, and you're feeling, you're trying to figure things out. And what is it that I want, right? And there's things in there that you didn't even know you wanted, but because it's dark, you can't see. And then somebody flips a switch and you can see, and it's easy and it's right there and you can receive it. And furthermore, there was stuff in there that you didn't even know you wanted, beyond what you even realized in your mind you wanted. That's how illuminating blind spots work. It really is that powerful and that simple. So that's the theme. So my intended results are, above all else, to inspire you to walk your path, your happily ever after path, by seeing clearly where your true power lies and how to access it, how to work with your goals in the most effective way possible, and the singular skill that allows you to start receiving more of what you want with greater ease, speed, and beyond what you've imagined possible. Now, I want to talk about why, above all else, I want to inspire you. This is because, and I've said this, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure Lara is very familiar with this because you've been at some retreats, but one of the things I say at every single retreat, because retreats are like, few days, a week or something like that. And many people at retreats experience what somebody once called the suntan effect, right? So you go on a vacation, you get this wonderful tan, have this wonderful experience, then you go home and then the suntan starts to fade, right? So that's all a short presentation, workshop, or a vacation can give you. But if you're inspired, right? If you're inspired to walk the path, you're going to want to walk the path, okay? Because your happily ever after is a path. It's a path that you get to walk. So that is why, above all else, if you feel inspired, you're going to keep practicing the things that you learn, make all the difference for surpassing your limits. So why this class matters. First of all, it matters because it matters to you. And personally, my mission, the way I'm wired, the way I've been since I was a child, is I can't not be moved by the desire to relieve suffering. So if this class helps you suffer a little bit less, feel a little bit of relief, feel inspired, empowered to create the life you want, to have the fulfillment you want, it matters because every one of us matter. And macro level, on a larger scale, it matters because you matter to the world. I had a friend once say, you know, you can either be one of the walking wounded or one of the walking inspired, one of the walking healthy people. And, you know, it's interesting, I forgot about this until this morning, but one of the most defining moments in my own journey was when I realized that because I felt invisible, that was one of the feelings that I came away from my childhood. I just felt invisible. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel heard. Was I really, and then, you know, Ruth and Nahareen, we know each other from this organization. It was an international women's organization for personal development, empowerment, and leadership. So here was in this organization for 10 years, and I was inspired to learn, to grow, and to lead, and to be the best version of myself. And when I first started to explore leadership, I remember, talk about imposter syndrome. I really wanted to, but I just didn't feel like I made any difference. Like, what could I do that would make any difference? And I realized that that was an aspect of always feeling invisible. And like, what does it matter? If I disappear, nobody will notice. Okay, so I'm here to say every one of you matter, every human being matters. And when we don't see ourselves, when we don't value ourselves, and we're going to be talking about worthiness and self-worth, okay, then what happens is we could actually contribute to the pain in the world by being one more person that hurts other, you know, they say hurt, people say hurt people, because we keep perpetuating the legacy that we've been given or have experienced. So we can actually be part of the problem. And if we're not part of the problem, if we do nothing, the world is cheated from the difference you could have made when you think that you don't matter. Now, when you start to be willing to believe and know that you matter, just by you feeling fulfilled, you are a pebble in your pond. You go back into your world, and your ability to feel fulfilled, to experience your fulfillment, to embody, to express your full self, that ripples out. And I'm sure you don't have to you know, look very far to think about people in your life who, just because they're inspired, inspiring, happy, joyful, healthy, affects you in a positive way. It shows you what's possible. It brings out your best. And then people who are in pain, everything from just, you know, mopey to toxic, walk into a room and you're like, bleh, right? That's how powerful our presence is, right? So I always like to say that while we are here to learn how to receive our joyful fulfillment by unlearning struggle, and it might be focus on self, the skill set of receiving it, what you're going to learn today is one of the most generous things you can do. Because when you practice this, it shifts you from being a lack-based consumer trying to get the things you want because you think you don't have them, to a abundantly flowing contributor where you just overflow the wholeness and the well-being that is actually your true nature. So this class matters because you matter to the world. So we all have a story. I'm going to share a little bit about mine. Here's some pictures from my childhood. And as you listen to my story, I really invite you to just let whatever awarenesses about your own story, things that might either resonate for you or at least stimulate an idea that you never thought about for you, okay, to just reveal themselves and let that be part of your journey. So the picture on the left is me as a baby with my mom and my dad. And on the right is me and my dad, my younger sister, I'm the oldest, and my brother on a family trip to Hershey, Pennsylvania, in a hotel room, and my mom was taking the picture. I'm a first generation American. My parents are from Argentina. Spanish is my first language. I'm of Russian Jewish descent. And my father came over to the United States in the early 60s with a scholarship to MIT. He was dating my mom. And they were apart for 2 years and 4 months, and then they got married by proxy. I even found some letters that he wrote to her. And then she came over and they started their life in the United States. And my home life was one that my father was the dominant parent in my life. And, my mom comes from another culture. She was born in 1936, and whatever cultural and historical models of power were available for women at that time, she was a product of her environment, right? And here in the United States, there were other opportunities. We were kind of moving through some waves of the women's movement. But really what happened for me was, in terms of emotional safety in my home, I did not feel emotional safety. I had a lot of physical safety. I had a physical home, something that is not to be taken for granted. My parents were really great with that. But in retrospect, and based on everything that I know today, neither one of them had a high EQ, a high emotional intelligence. So my father, I've always referred to as Mr. Spock. He's like Mr. Spock from Star Trek. He's all logic and reason, and anything that I ever wanted or needed, any feelings that I had, let's say I was crying, he'd say, "Why are you crying?" Like that was it. It was a question that I had to come up with an answer for, right? Like an analysis, right? And anything that I wanted, I had to have a logical reason for. And I remember wanting this particular jacket in high school that, cost some money, that it was that leather jacket, right? And at first he's like, "Well, I don't know, let's talk about it." And then we found out that it was expensive. He goes, "Eso no es razonable. That's not reasonable." So if I wanted something, I had to have a built case about all the reasons the thing that I wanted was logical and reasonable. My mother, on the other hand, was overflowing, bubbly, joyful, but she was emotionally like all over the place and kind of reactive. And it was really kind of scary for me sometimes. Like I just didn't feel that safety. So I basically sided with my father. Kids do what they do to survive and move through life. And I remember that my father, and it was a really defining comment that he made at one point, which he said, "Don't be emotional like your mother." And, as kids, we don't know what's happening. We just are products of our environment. So what I did was, when he said that, and because I needed to feel safe with a parent, I basically rejected everything that was same gender parent, my mom, anything that she represented through that lens of a child. And that meant that I disconnected from all of my feelings and all of my emotions. And I thought the way to navigate life is to be logical and reasonable. Furthermore, and this is for those of you who've been talking about worthiness, I learned from my father to feel worthy because of the things that I got validated for my intellect and for everything that I could achieve and accomplish and the outcomes I could produce. I got my entire sense of worth and value for my doing. And I didn't know that there was anything else. That was it. So I was, given a lot of great skills. My dad valued education, and I went off to become a stock and bond trader. I had a business degree, and to prove my value and my worth, because I could do it like the big boys in the stock market, that kind of a thing. Meanwhile, while I was working in the brokerage firm, after I had fulfilled all of my dutiful daughter responsibilities, I started to discover that I felt like I was dying a spiritual death. And even though I was achieving a lot and I was successful and competent, deep down, I was suffering from bulimia, experiencing self-loathing, tremendously low self-esteem, zero confidence, unless I was, getting A's or performing. And that put me on a path to everything that today is about, which is discovering my inner world. I started studying spirituality, metaphysics, consciousness, everything in the invisible world rather than what was in the visible world. And took me through all kinds of a wonderful, beautiful, challenging journey. But today I stand with so much peace and fulfillment in the embodiment of my innate value. So one of the things I just want to illuminate as a nugget about this that you might be connecting with is, in all of my programs these days, I talk about value or worthiness through two lenses: transactional value. And this is what Lara was talking about. I don't feel worthy. I don't believe that it could be easy because I get my sense of value from what I do, what do I achieve, I perform, my productivity, because that's what we get valued and validated for. Ambitious, goal-oriented people, that is something that's been well trained, well regarded, well valued, well validated and rewarded. Okay. Meanwhile, who you are, who you be, how you feel, your feelings, your needs, your wants, the sensations in your body tend to be absent or malnourished in your awareness of them, why they are good, why they are valuable, why they are valued, how it's powerful. It's like this whole, like I said, this inner terrain that's minimally, we just scratch the surface if we're lucky, if you tend to be ambitious, goal-oriented, hardworking person. So that's what occurred for me. And then this journey brought me home to myself. And I used to joke about my masculine is up here, just like my feminine. So masculine is doing, feminine is being. And I thought when I started to learn about this that I had to throw the baby out with the bathwater. No, you enjoy those skills, but we need to bring this up here. And then for a while I felt schizophrenic. I literally felt like there's a being and a doing, Sonia, and just like, which one? And then eventually started to weave them together and integrate it. And one of the things that I say is the most powerful and fulfilled people that I know are the ones who have been practicing and exploring and experimenting with, but it's always a practice. You always get better at it, at learning how to access your being and your doing skills at will as needed for the situation at hand. So it's a dance. One of the stages, just for some more language, that one of my coaches gave me when I had, this was about 10 years ago when I was going through another growth spurt. He talked about the difference between talent and skill, right? So as we open up to and develop this, we could be actually become aware that we actually have a lot of talent in both, right? Like I've got some really good talent with my being and presence and the stuff we're going to talk about a lot today. I also have a lot of talent with doing, but skill comes from really learning how to, and this is what Nahareen was talking about, how to access both as needed. So the shortcut answer is, when in doubt, be first. Okay. And then all of that dance will come from that. And then for situations like Ruth, where you just get so swept up in the doing and it's so hard, and, you know, and, or we're so busy, and all of you alluded to this too, so busy, that I don't have space to be. I don't have time to be. There's no time. Well, that's actually an illusion. It's not about time. It's about awareness. So we practice the awareness muscle. That's your power. That's your superpower, awareness. Once you become aware, you can, after awareness, you stop, and then you have the power of choice. What needs my awareness? Where do I give my attention? That's how you start to access the power of being, which is what allows you to start to surpass your limits beyond what you ever imagined possible. So that's a little bit of my story. I hope that this is illuminating some awarenesses in your own story. Many times we will reflect on our parents or our upbringing. It's never about blame. It's just that knowledge is power. We are all products of our environment. Our parents were products of their environment. So it's about becoming aware and then seeing what you can do about it, how to use that insight about, oh, well, this explains a lot. Where do I want to go from here? All right. So we're now going to get back to you, focusing on you. We've been talking about me a little bit. So I'd like you, is there anyone here who has not completed the assessment that came with the registration page? Okay.
Hey, Sonia, it's Nahreen. I haven't done it.
Okay. Do you have, no problem. Okay. Because you've certainly we've been working together. So some of these things will be, top of mind, but maybe today you're looking at it kind of from a little bit of freshness, something a little bit new. Or it might feel like, it's, yeah, I'm still working on that thing, and I want to go to the next level. So what I want you to do is choose one priority. If you did the assessment, it will be one of your priorities for in the next 90 days of the new year. And for you, Nahareen, in the next 90 days, okay, as you think about one priority in your life and the first 90 days of the new year, what are you ready to receive into your life? So I want you to start thinking about that, and to continue with this exercise. Actually, I'm going to hit the pause button. I want you to take some time now to just write that down. As you think about the first 90 days of the new year, what are you ready to receive into your life? So we're going to start using the hand raising thing. I know Lara's going to be sort of back and forth, so I'm not going to hold things up for Lara, but as you complete each step of this exercise, just raise your hand so I know that we can move on to the next piece.
I'm not sure how to raise my hand.
Okay. is a thing. By the way, congratulations on doing a Zoom call for the first time. I know it's always like, let's see here. I don't know if my screen's going to match yours, but if you have, it'll either say reactions or there'll be 3 dots.
Let me see.
It might be at the bottom of your screen, Julie.
I'm on my phone because I couldn't do it on my computer. So,
Okay.
I'll flip it.
So just raise your hand, your physical hand, if you can't, if you don't find it. But if you do find it on the phone, I'm not sure how phones are more limited. It'll either say reactions or more, and then you can just raise your hand like that. And then you can, I think, let's see. And then in your picture, there's 3 dots. And once you click on that, you can lower your hand. So you're done, Julie. Ruth and Lara. Okay, Lara will wait on. Ruth, are you still working or did you? Great, thumbs up. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So regarding what you're ready to receive in your life, now write down, what do you think is required for you to receive this? And raise your hand when you're done. No rush.
I found it.
Yeah, you got it. Okay. So we're going to keep going. Now consider and write about what is preventing you from receiving this. And lower your hand if it's still up, just so I know. I think we're done. All right. Good. So now we're gonna think about some more stuff. Think about how you would approach this personal aspiration, the thing you're ready to receive in the first 90 days of the new year. And on a scale of 1 to 10, just jot down how much figuring out is required, how much overcoming is required, and how much action is required. And hold on, let's see if I can get this to, it's funny. There we go. 1 is virtually none. It's not a 0, but very little. 10 is maximum for each of these. And once you've written them down for yourself, put these in the chat, the 3 numbers.
I like it. Mhm.
Here we have 5, 5, and 10 for one person. Pretty much 10s on all. I think I have to do it all myself, and I don't know how to make this happen. Ten, 8, 10, 10, 10, 8. Okay, one more person. Hold on. And 9, 10, 5. Okay, so nobody here is under a 5, which is a respectable amount of figuring out overcoming and action with quite a few 8s, 9s, and 10s. So a lot. So let's talk more about this. So figuring out in the world of doing is this, the mind. So it's strategy, it's research, it's pursuit. Overcoming is competition, winning, conquering. So that means everything about what you're ready to receive in the next 90 days is going to require, this is how you're operating when you start to unpack your relationship to what you want, what you're ready to receive. A lot of strategy, research, pursuit. You see I'm doing this, right? A lot of doing. Competition, winning, conquering, and action requires energy, stamina, strength. So all of this leads us now to our very first blind spot of the day. Remember, I talked about how we're going to go over 3 blind spots and 3 essential insights. We're finally at the blind spot part, at the blind spots part. By the way, I forgot to mention earlier, we will be having a break. So just know that you'll have a good 10 minutes to, take care of yourself and take a break. So let's talk about, this is my definition of a blind spot. So we know when you're driving a car and there's a blind spot, you can't see what you need to see, right, to be safe. And in this world, your blind spot is when your current point of view hides an essential insight. So since consciousness creates your reality, your point of view is incredibly important. Because there's something, the room is dark, there's something you can't see, we're going to turn on the lights. So if you haven't already, there's this worksheet that I included in the emails to you. You can always go back and download them. It's only 3 questions. So if you don't have them, can't print it out, it's on your computer. You have an opportunity to jot down some of the things that we're going to be going over today on this worksheet. So the 3 blind spots that we're going to be addressing have to do with where your power lies. That's number 1. Hopefully you can see this. It might be small on your phones. Number 1 is where your power lies, or where my power lies. Number 2 is how to work with my goals. And number 3 is how to receive fulfillment in my life. So the reason I have this worksheet is, again, to deepen your understanding and integrate. Writing it down is really helpful. And when I get to the insights, I'm going to give you some really specific things to write down to just keep reinforcing these concepts. So it isn't just knowing the path, but it's going to help you connect with it so that you can walk the path. Because that's my intention. Above all else, you walk away from today able to put some things into practice right away. So let's talk about blind spot number 1, where your power lies. We're going to talk about this from the lens of power versus control, because a lot of people think that they're the same. And they could be, depending on how you look at it. But the way I'm going to talk about it today, we're going to see that power and control are two very different things. So this right here, this imagery, is something that I trust will just kind of embed itself in your awareness. There's the majestic tree, which is the symbol that I refer to for the embodiment of power and the experience and the expression of power. And the hunter, which relies a lot on control in order to feel powerful. And I find it really interesting. I made the hunter bigger just so you could see it. It used to be even bigger than that, but I realized, you know what, that hunter is like teeny tiny next to the tree. And it's kind of like that in terms of power. And as we unpack it, you'll see more how this plays out. So here we get into being versus doing. Now, being and doing represent two models of power, two ways of engaging with life. That's a good way to say it, that allow you to feel powerful or allow you to at least attempt to feel powerful. Ambitious, goal-oriented people, as I've said, are well trained in the doing model of power. What tends to be absent or malnourished is the being model of power. So let's talk about the distinctions. So when I talk about doing, think hunter. When I talk about being, think majestic tree. So when you are attempting to experience or express or feel powerful and you're operating as a human doing, what is being valued is your productivity. So I talked about that a little bit. And like the hunter's going to feel powerful when it's productive, when the hunter actually catches the prize. So the hunter relates to his or her or their goals and dreams as a prize, as a target, as a thing to capture or conquer on the horizon. And it will rely on the power of intention, which is very much about my mind, my awareness is focused on that thing. It's very narrow, okay? And it focuses with intention on this very specific thing. And here's a really important concept: to the exclusion of all else. It's a target. Now, I'm going to take a tiny little bit of a pause here, and I want to also expand on doing and being. In the last much of my training in this women's organization was at looking at the differences between men and women in order to create productive and successful partnerships as the cornerstones of our society. Our world, our culture, our language has been evolving a great deal in a short amount of time. And then of course, the issues affecting women in the last decade or two have gone to a whole other level of awareness and amplification. And again, because I was wanting to work with men as well, I realized that in the same way, internally, we devalue or have invalidated our beingness. We live in a culture that has, in a planetary state, where the feminine is wounded. There's a lot of wounding. I've heard myself say, as I kind of connect with this at retreats, it's like, I believed that our entire planet is starved for mothering, is starved for nurturing. You see this play out in all genders because we all have feminine aspects, attributes, or qualities. So just when I talk about feminine, I talk about masculine, I'm not talking about gender or sexuality. I'm talking about yin and yang. I'm talking about being, doing. I'm talking about these polarities that we navigate in the world. And so for people who tend to be, they're generally speaking, men, if I were to say, well, you know what, you could actually surpass your limit if you embraced your feminine qualities. You know, it was like, there's like this internal bias. And I have worked with very powerful women. I myself was one of those. It took me a long time to make peace with, whatever I thought feminine was, because I equated it with my mom and I equated it with what my dad said, don't be emotional like your mother, right? So we internalize these judgments, these biases around feminine. So I got away, I degenderized my language, because when we talk about doing and being, most people are receptive to all of that and they can go there. But it's also beneficial to look at it through masculine, feminine, because when you start to look at our ideas about that in our families and in our world, you know, one of my teachers used to say, this was back in the late 80s and 90s, you know, that this couple generations of women are the first generation that want to be more like their fathers than their mothers. So we're rejecting this whole aspect of our being, you know, we have them. And so what happens is that we tend to look at life and ourselves and our value and our power through the lens of, if I'm doing, it's good. If I'm not doing, it's bad, because doing is where all the power is. But I'm going to be a broken record about this, because until I got it and it just came to me, I realized, as this was being revealed to me, is not doing does not equal the power of being. Just because you stop doing does not mean you are tapping into and accessing the power of being. Being is its own universe. But when you don't have any frame of reference for the power of being, and what you really know is doing is good, more is better, hard work is better, hard work ethic, right? We just keep doing more of that. So we over rely on it. And then when we're burnt out, exhausted, frustrated, or we just know something's got to give, and you say, I just can't keep, and we stop. For most people, that is not comforting. People feel lost when they stop doing. What's the first question they ask? What do I do? That's the solution to everything. What do I do? Not how do I need to be? What do I do? Well, I can't do more because I'm going to have a nervous breakdown or my body's hurting. So I'm going to stop, but now I'm lost. I'm unproductive. And this is where the judgments come in. So we don't see being. What we see is not doing, and not doing is bad. So we start to see being through the lens of doing, which is like, oh, lazy, passive, weak, unmotivated, unproductive, not powerful. We don't see the power of being. We just see not doing, and not doing is bad. Right. So let's continue with, I went my little sidebar and I came back. So feminine and masculine is also a helpful way. So doing values productivity, focuses on intention, takes action, and it manifests its goals and dreams by seeking, hunter, finding, and conquering. Now, something else my first relationship teacher used to talk about was in the realm of relationships, especially because I'm a woman and I was wanting to manifest a fulfilling relationship with a man, he would talk about what doesn't work and what does work in relationship. And he would say that many times what we can do when we want to get something from a man, from a relationship, right? That's how we try to get fulfilled in the relationship. We try to get what we want, is we control. Getting is controlling. That's what the hunter does. It gets the prize. And he says, if you want to kill something, control it. No, control kills, one of the two. Another way, if you control something, you're going to kill it. If you want to kill something, control it. That's what we do when we hunt. That's what the hunter does. It controls the life out of the creature and gets what it wants. Furthermore, fulfillment when you're doing is fleeting at best. You're hunting, seeking. So the whole time you're seeking, you're wanting. And you're operating on, creates the consciousness of I'm seeking. Why are you seeking something? There's only one reason to seek, because you think you don't have it. So your consciousness says, I don't have what I want. So you're seeking. You're not fulfilled because you don't have what you want. And then if you're lucky, and this is only the best case scenario, you get it. And you celebrate and you eat it. And it lasts for a meal, a day, a week. And then you're hungry again. And you're often seeking because you don't have food. So fulfillment at best is fleeting, which means you might get the goal. How many of you have had goals that you actually got? Your weight loss, the job, the money came in, yay! And it lasts for a little bit, and then you're often seeking again. It's the nature of doing. Fulfillment is fleeting at best. Now, the only reason you're fulfilled when you do get the prize is because you're feeling something. That thing didn't give you anything, right? It gave you what you think, but it was the feeling of fulfilled, relief. It's the feeling of having. It's the experience. And here's what you're really feeling: the relief of not seeking, the relief of not wanting. So another story that bears repeating from one of my favorite teachers, Adyashanti, he's a spiritual teacher, and he tells the story. This particular story, I will tell this till the day I die because it blew my mind. He said, we think that in order to be happy, we have to get what we want. He said, we tend to think that getting the thing we want is what makes us happy. It is not the getting of the thing that makes you happy. It's that when you get the thing for a moment, a week, or whatever, a moment, a day, or a week, when you got the thing, the wanting ceased. And when the wanting ceased, which means your consciousness of I want, because I don't have, that whole thing, which is your reality that you're creating, was laid to rest. And what happened? Because your consciousness wasn't creating that reality for a moment, a day, or a week, the underlying consciousness of who and what you really are, which is joyful fulfillment, finally had room to rise. And you could see it and experience it. Okay, here's another one of my repeaters, my broken records. You already are all that you seek to be, do, and have. You come into this life factory set, joyful, whole, and well. That's your true nature. It's always inside of you. But just because you are this does not mean you feel this. Feeling comes from allowing what is arising in your inner being to flow freely. But there's a whole bunch of ways that we block the flow when we're in human doing mode. So what happens is this goal chasing doing model is the cause of your upper limit. And when you start to understand how doing actually blocks the flow, and you understand how to nurture being, that flow allows you to actually feel the truth of who you are. So now let's talk about being. Okay, being, remember, not doing is not the same as being. So we're going to shine the light on what is the power of being. What exactly is this? So being values presence as opposed to productivity. Okay, that means that you value whatever is present right here, right now, in this moment. You value all of it, not just the good things or the things that feel good, but you also value the things that don't feel good. Now, just because you value it doesn't mean you have to like it. Just because you value it doesn't mean it has to feel good, but you value it. Why do you value even the things that don't feel good when you have sadness, pain, fear? Because it's a part of you. It's a part of your experience. And as you start to welcome home parts of you that you've said, no, I need to conquer my fear. I need to fix my fear. I need to get rid of my fear, right? When you do that, you can't experience your wholeness because you're saying this part of me is okay, these happy feelings, but this part of me, no, you don't get to be here. That prevents you from experiencing your wholeness. So yes, sometimes the value of presence, what's present, which is sadness, fear, isn't going to feel good. There's going to be pain. That is a part of the power of being, is acknowledging that pain is inevitable. There is pain in life, but suffering is optional. And when you learn how to relate to pain in a powerful way, I have had one of my most gratifying experiences. I've had this happen so many times, and it just makes my heart explode, is when I have people say that as they've started practicing and tapping into the power of being, their anxiety subsides. They feel pain, but it passes quickly, or much more quickly than it used to. They feel relief happens more readily, because now they are no longer battling like the hunter or trying to fix like the hunter these things that they don't like because they don't have any other being tools. They start to shift from fixing themselves to nurturing themselves, like the majestic tree that is already whole and complete, even in its seed form. Its fullest potential, there's nothing missing. It's already in the seed, just like you, but it gets to feel and experience its fullness as it is nurtured by life, and it grows. So we never fix the tree, we just grow it, and we accept all of it. We embrace the knots. If the branches break, it still grows. If its leaves dry up because pain came in the form of a drought, right? It still can grow. The rains will pass, generally speaking, most of the time. Even in these forests that are burned down, you drive through them and 6 months later, you start to see green again. It's incredible. So in the doing model, the hunter, you personally, you singular self, are the provider. It's all on you. It's exhausting and it's limited because you can only receive what you yourself as the solitary hunter can make happen. When you're in the being model of power, life is the provider. And life can provide you so much more than you could ever conceive of with your mind or do with your own action. Now, the hunter focuses on the target to the exclusion of all else, right? Selective. The majestic tree is unselective. It receives everything all day long by being. Now we get to what being does, invites, an embodied invitation. Okay, so it doesn't strategize, it doesn't think, it doesn't take action, it doesn't make plans. It's just being. It's simply being. It's a vessel of receiving. It receives the sun and the water and the minerals. It receives the drought. It receives the floods. It receives when the animals poop by its roots. It is unselective. Now, being unselective is something we need to practice because our knee-jerk reaction is to be highly selective. I focus on what I want. I receive what I want. Don't want that. Don't want that. That's a distraction. Focus, focus, focus. Okay. It works if you're a project manager. It works if you're on task mode. That's really productive. But you don't want to apply that to these goals and dreams that require so much more than what you could do by yourself, that requires life to give you things that you cannot control. So you become an invitation. Okay. Being doesn't take action. Being experiences what is present right here, right now. If there is sadness, if there is fear, as the Dalai Lama says, when people say, well, what do I do when I'm angry? The Dalai Lama says, experience it fully. Just experience it. We learn how to expand in our capacity to allow more of life to flow through us. Now, this may sound scary if we're not used to this. It does take practice. It is a different skill. It comes from accessing your inner nurturer. To the degree that we have our nurturing absent or malnourished in our, as products of our environment, whether it's family, whether it's the world that we live in, whether it's you had to start working young and you never stopped, and that's how you survived, right? We need to develop the nurturing skill. But that for me has been the missing puzzle piece. The nurturing of self is what makes everything possible. Your worthiness expands, your peace becomes available to you. And the more your awareness and practice expands, the more you can be in this world, but not of it. Which means that you're able more and more, doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries, because that's part of being, is there has to be, we claim and care for our space. But you become much more able to be in situations, as some of you talked about, that are busy, that are demanding, and the kids and the hubby and the news and the world events and other people and our clients, and still be present with yourself and allow what you're experiencing to flow through you, rather than fix it, rather than solve it, causing more suffering. And this skill can continue to expand, just like the majestic tree. The more you nurture, the more that tree expands in presence. Its roots go deeper, becomes more and more unmovable, and its reach into the world, its offerings of its fruit and its beauty and its fragrance, always inviting, attracts those that will spread its offerings across the land. So when we want to have impact and influence and purpose, and we know how to value our presence, we don't have to go, for example, really tangible marketing, right? My marketing is much less doing than it ever used to be. I show up, I shine my fragrance, my colors, I do my thing. And then people who are of the same, who are looking for that, either I have people sending my videos to people all the time, and that's how more people join the community. I don't do anything. I don't go find them. I do my videos. That's me emitting my fragrance and my color. My little birds come and they take it and they poop out the seeds and plant new trees. It's like, that's how it works. It's a lot less work. Sure, there's some doing, but it's now in its proper balance with my being. Okay. So your doing becomes less and becomes more efficient and effective, because you're also accessing the power of being. Is it messy? Yeah, that's part of it. It's messy, but it's beautiful, and it's magical, the things that can happen. So being manifests goals and dreams by becoming aware as opposed to seeking. We shift from seeking to seeing what is here. Instead of finding as if there was something missing, we experience fully what is present right now, values presence. And instead of conquering, which is this, it's remaining open. Practice of being open, 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 so life can flow through you. And even if it's painful, as it flows through you, the next thing can arrive and the next thing, because life's always, and here's a really important concept, life always offers kindness if you're willing to see it. But if you're looking for evidence that life is unkind, you will be right. So I'm not saying life is kind. Sometimes it's not. We know this. Personally, we know it doesn't, I don't have to convince you of that. It is painful. It is brutal. It is ravaging sometimes. Yet it always offers kindness simultaneously. So here in one part of the world, there's fires and storms. Another part of the world, there are children playing completely safe in their backyard. There's kindness. The kindness can come from, I'm witnessing this, which is horrifying in this moment right now. I am safe. Can I give thanks for that? Can I experience that fully? For that consciousness can be my greatest contribution. Maybe I can't stop the fires, but right here in my pond, what kind of a pebble am I going to be? So you get to be part of the solution in your pond, or you can disempower yourself by putting your attention on the things that you are powerless over, and then cheat the world of the difference you could have made. Even if your world is, your little world, each one of us only has power over our sphere of influence. But the more people who take responsibility and reclaim their power, the more people we have. I have always seen this, my vision of this, like elevating the planet. It's almost like an Afghan, and instead of granny squares, they're round. So here's this little circle, and then the sphere of influence. And all around the world, this blanket of these pebbles that are rippling out and connecting and overlapping spheres. So that is being versus doing. So with this blind spot, to bring it together, as long as you seek to feel powerful, remember the blind spot is around where does your power lie? As long as you seek to feel powerful by conquering the outer world, you will feel limited at best. This approach is part of what causes your upper limit issue, okay? The outer world is impermanent. A hunter's outcomes are finite. There's no lasting fulfillment. At best, it's fleeting, okay? The only thing that is constant in the universe is change. And the more we accept that, the more we're empowered to really look at, okay, if I can't control everything and nothing is here to be captured or conquered forever, because it's just not, and life is change, then how do I relate to that so that I really tap into my power, like the tree that is constantly open and receiving the ever-changing flow of life unselectively? Okay, so to your worksheet or your notes, here's where you can write down where your power lies. Here's the essential insight. Your power lies in consciousness. Your consciousness creates your reality. And you harness this power by nurturing a relationship with your consciousness. It's a relationship that you show up to for the rest of your life through the practice of awareness. I'll say it again because I know you're writing this down. Just let it keep sinking in. Your power lies in consciousness. Your consciousness creates your reality. And you harness this power by nurturing a relationship with it, a relationship with your consciousness. So we're going to take a break, but before we do, that was a big, giant unpacking. So just give it some, just let it wash over you. Any questions on anything so far today? Just speak up. Or comments. Okay. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. I have 11:42. So we'll be back here at 11:52. I'm going to turn off my camera and my microphone. And I'll just take the time however you need to, and I'll see you in 10 minutes. Okay. All right. Enjoy your break. Okay, let's see. Everyone's almost back. Excuse me. All right, welcome back. So let's move on. Let's see, we are approaching the last third. Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to blind spot number 2, which is how to work with your goals and the truth about happily ever after, which is very interconnected given the purpose of this overarching workshop. So now that we've talked about the difference between doing versus being, we're going to look at goals through those lenses. All right. And some of this now will start to feel repetitive, but that's a good thing because it'll go deeper. So in the realm of doing, well, first of all, the overarching concept here is the goal is not the goal. And I can't take credit for that phrase. That comes from Rabbi Yehuda Berg from the book True Prosperity. The goal is not the goal. So when we're in human doing mode, like the hunter, we think that the goal is getting the thing we want, having the thing we want, accumulating, generally more is better, keeping it, this is a very important concept, keeping the thing we want forever, or arriving, like I've arrived and I'm done. When you start to understand that the goal is not the goal, and the truth about your goals and how to work with them, and the truth about happily or ever after, you start to become open to exploring our wants, our desires through the lens of being. So a very important concept to understand when it comes to being is this. There's only one reason you ever have any goals ever. And that reason is you are chasing a feeling that you think you cannot get any other way. The reason we have goals is we're chasing feelings. So you are a human being. You're not a human doing. And beings feel, beings experience, beings value all that is present within them, all that life is presenting to them right here and now. I love to say this catchphrase, I'd like to always remind people is, you don't achieve fulfilled, you feel fulfilled. You feel fulfilled. Case in point, we don't have to look very far to see people who are very, very successful. They have achieved a lot and they're not fulfilled. They're not happy. They're in so much pain many times because of this inability to connect with fulfillment, but they keep chasing the thing, that they do drugs, they take meds, they're depressed. We have people, you know, like some of the most successful people, and this happens a lot in the entertainment industry, die from it, die from the lack of fulfillment and exposure. I mean, the success isn't the problem, it's just that it's not the answer. The achievement is not the answer. So whether it's a little goal, like I want to lose 10 pounds, 50 pounds, I want a new job, I want more money, I want to manifest a home, I want a successful business. I don't care what the goal is. We all have goals for one reason only. You're chasing a feeling. And you're chasing a feeling that you think you either don't already have. Now, this isn't a conscious thought process, but I want a boyfriend. I want a relationship. Why? Why? Because you think that if you have one, if you get a boyfriend, if you keep a boyfriend, which is a trap and is all about control, by the way, I will feel love, connection, safe, secure, belonging, wanted, desirable, sexy. All of these feelings that I think I don't have now, it must be in a boyfriend, must be in a relationship. Now, we all know that we can get the boyfriend, we can get the girlfriend. You can get it. Bullet point number 1, you can have it. Might not have the feeling you want. It doesn't guarantee the feeling of love, connection, fulfillment, sexy. And so then we don't have the feeling. So now we've got this boyfriend and we try to get the feeling. So now you're operating from control and you're killing the feeling. You're killing the potential of the fulfillment in the relationship because you're operating from control. And doesn't matter who you are. If you're in a relationship with somebody who's trying to control you to get something, we all know how crappy that feels. It doesn't feel good. It's not a great relationship, but you got the thing, right? So that's the only reason we have goals, is we're chasing a feeling. So what you really want, the goal is not the goal. What you really, really, really want under all of it is the feelings. And another name for the feelings is the essence. We start to focus on the essence so that the form can come. The essence of the tree is life, is colors, is fragrance. Our essence is our feelings, our sensations, our experiences. That's part of that inner world terrain. So when you start to relate to your dreams, goals, wants, wishes, and aspirations through a being lens, you don't try to get anything anymore. You start to learn how to receive. And receiving is about allowing a feeling, an experience, a sensation to flow through you and to be aware of it, instead of have these knee-jerk reactions where if I feel bad, I battle it, or I protect myself, or I run away, fight, flight, freeze. Okay, that's what the hunter does. The hunter either fights the woolly mammoth, plays dead if it's too big, or protects itself with a shield. That's what the doer does, okay, with life. If it feels good, we'll receive it. But then what do we do when we receive what we want? We try to hold on to it because we're afraid we're going to lose it. Oh my God, I got all this money. Yay, thank you. I got it. I got the sale. I got the money. And then, oh no, I have to pay bills. Oh no, the IRS is going to come. How do I hold on to it? So we don't trust in flow. We don't trust in circulation because we relate to life as something to survive. But when you start to shift from fixing and problem solving to nurturing, you start to tap into where your true safety lies, which is in relationship with yourself. And as you become the safest place in the world for you, then when pain comes, you don't have to protect yourself from it. You expand your capacity, like the tree, to receive the pain, to start to discover that it will not kill you, to receive the awarenesses and the healing that's possible when you actually start to honor pain as opposed to fight it, protect yourself from it, make it go away. So we shift from getting regarding our goals to receiving. our goals, our dreams. We shift from having our goals to experiencing what we want in ways that were always here, but you weren't aware because you were seeking something you thought you didn't have. We shift from accumulating, more is better, to feeling feelings and sensations in the body. Instead of trying to keep something, we let it flow through us. We experience it fully. We let the bad pass through, but we also trust that when we're having this peak experience, this juicy, wonderful experience, instead of trying to hold on to it, we let it fill us, experience it fully, pass on through, and we trust that life will give to us again because life is abundant, life is whole, there's nothing missing. We just can't control it. And instead of arriving, like, I finally arrived, I'm done. That's a myth. It's a lie. You never arrive. What you do get to have is the awareness of what is here to receive and a relationship with all of life. Awareness of life, awareness of the fulfillment that's here, awareness that you're safe, awareness that you can expand to receive more and more and more. So in a word, we shift from force to flow. So how to work with your goals. We start to shift on focusing on the essence, the feeling that is, if you think of your goals as just a symbol that is imbued with whatever meaning or feelings you give it, then you're focusing correctly on the feeling that you want so that the form will come. Because here's what happens when you focus on the form. If you focus on the form and you work on your goals from a doing perspective, one of two things will happen. Either you'll get the goal and the fulfillment will be fleeting at best. That's the best case scenario. Or if you get the goal, it might be, I got the goal, but the fulfillment isn't even there. I got it and I didn't even feel, it just wasn't even the feeling I wanted. So that's one, you get the goal. The other one is you never get the goal. You're always chasing, seeking. Why? Because your consciousness creates your reality and you're focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on, got to make money, want to make money, want to make money. But what you really want is to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel free, to feel powerful. And because your consciousness is all over the place and what you focus upon flourishes, you probably won't even get the goal in those scenarios because so much of your consciousness is focused on lack that's what you're actually getting, that the feeling of the lack, which is exactly where your essence is. Money equals lack. So that's what you manifest. Okay. When you focus on the essence and you nurture the essence, which is a combination of when you're feeling what you want to have, you savor it and experience it fully in your body. And when you are feeling things you don't want to have, like pain, you soothe it and nurture it. All of that keeps the space open for the flow. And life, because your consciousness creates your reality, rises up to meet you. So we're going to do a mini version of this exercise today. And then this is going to be some homework that you can take into your life after the workshop. You will receive the slide. You can take a picture of it right now if you like. I'm going to walk you through this process so you can refer to it. And this is how you're going to work with your goals. 3-step process. Okay. First, I'll just go over it and then we're going to do a little mini version of it. Number 1, you're going to write down your heart's desire. And this is how it goes. If I could have it all my way, and you write it down. This is where you get it all out of your system. Don't worry about being controlling. Don't worry about focusing on the form. Like, the reason we do this is to just start to let it flow, get it out of your system. And what you're talking about is your heart's desire, and you're giving yourself permission without worrying about how, just your heart's desire. If I could have it all my way, write it down. The second thing you're going to do after you've done that is a fill in the blank. As I look at my heart's desire, I recognize that above all else, I long to feel, and you're going to write down the feelings. This is the essence that's imbued in this heart's desire. So you get it all out of your system. This is part of just letting it flow, right? In your head, in your body, just write it, full permission, unselective. Don't worry, there's no right or wrong. It's messy. If there's judgments, if there's buts, just write it all down. And once that's all on paper, then you're going to extract the essence from that. That's what you're really after. Write down the feelings. This is the essence. From there, you're going to create a willingness mantra. So it's an affirmation, and they all start with, I am willing. And then some prompts, and we're going to work through this. So you're going to get some help on your mantras. Some prompts are, I'm willing to believe. I'm willing to discover. I'm willing to feel. I'm willing to receive. This is what you're going to be focusing on. You're going to focus on the essence. So let me just see what the next slide is. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of workshop time. And I'd like you to go through this process. Raise your hand when you feel complete and ask questions anytime. I'm going to keep my microphone on, so I won't talk anymore so you can focus on this. And when you're either at your willingness affirmation and you need help, or you have some questions, we're going to work through it. We're going to work through some of this. I'm going to have at least one person kind of be a volunteer. Okay, so have fun. Ask questions. If you have a willingness mantra as you complete this, and if you're able to, because I know Nahareen is actually walking now, please post it in the chat. Okay. Thanks, Nahareen. And again, when you're done, raise your hand. Okay, great. Great. Julie, did you have a mantra that you're up to sharing in the chat?
Yes.
Great. Wonderful. Okay, so we've got Nahareen's, Ruth, Julie, Lara, maybe multitasking right now. And then Heather. Okay, let's wait for Heather's. Okay, something different. All right. So wherever you're at with this, what I'd like to do is, do I have a volunteer who would be willing to let me walk you through this process, just to kind of show you if there's any part of you that is either stuck on your mantra, and also just how to know if this mantra is, how to make the most of your mantras and how they work. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Any volunteers who would like to be in the spotlight? Was that you, Heather? Did you raise your hand or was that something else? No, okay.
Sonia, I'll go if no one else wants to go, but I probably would be the last one to say I'll go.
What, you're probably the last one that would say, I'll go?
Yeah, because I think I've done a lot of work with you, so maybe someone else might benefit more. You know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right,
but
that's true.
I'm willing to go if nobody else does.
Okay, thank you. Well, Julie or Ruth, since you're a little newer to this campus, when are you willing to go? Ruth? Okay, great. Okay, so Ruth, if you could just share with me what you wrote down for your heart's desire.
I have to, what I wrote down for my heart's desire. Okay. My heart's desire. Life would be easy, joyful, plenty of food, time, space, beauty, travel, visits with friends and family, and everyone got along. That's my heart's desire.
Wonderful. So, did you feel complete with that? Like just getting it out of your system that way?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know that everyone getting along is not really, that's control. So that's probably, I mean, but that's really what I want.
That's great. That's perfect. Yeah. See, that's why I said, don't worry about judgments or what you think is the right answer. Just get it out of your system. Okay. So number 2, as I look at my heart's desire, I recognize that above all else, I long to feel. What feelings arose?
At peace, loved, free, joyful, spontaneous, carefree, creative, abundant, and giving.
Okay, great. And let me just look at your affirmation here. I'm willing to believe that I can receive all that I want in this world by nurturing myself so that I can nurture others. So tell me just how that affirmation feels. Does it feel, and I'll actually say something, okay? Remember, anytime we have a goal, it's because we're chasing a feeling that we believe that we can't get any other way. So I know, for example, that you've had some challenging relationship dynamics that you've been wanting to work on. And so that was included in here, right? So whatever those feelings are, you're feeling like, I want everyone to get along so that I can feel these feelings, right? So from there, you're now going to connect it to those feelings and create a willingness mantra. The thing about a willingness mantra is there's no right answer. What you're looking for when you're playing around, and think of that as it's an exercise, it's an experiment, is what actually makes you feel even a little bit better, like a little bit of relief, a little bit of lightness. You'll feel it. Like when you come up with a mantra, be like, oh yeah, that's it. You'll feel it. So tell me again what your feeling words were.
I long to feel at peace, loved, free, joyful, spontaneous, carefree, creative, abundant, and giving.
Free, abundant, and giving. Okay.
Yeah, so my mantra doesn't really feel like that.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you. How, like, yeah.
Not really. I mean, yeah, not really. Because I
Okay.
feel like there's a lot of, there's also that doing so that I might nurture others.
Not
Right,
just
like,
not just
not really.
that. What I noticed about yours. So your mantra for everyone is, it's in the chat here. I'm willing to believe that I can receive all that I want in this world by nurturing myself so that I can nurture others. So you're right. You went from feelings. This is a great example to how do I do this? So your mind latched on to, well, if I nurture, then maybe everyone will get along. If I can nurture others, like I'm trying to reclaim my power from doing something that I think might be the answer. Does that resonate for you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're shifting from this mindset of doing, and this is a great example because it's so powerful. The mind is this machine, and that's what the mind does, is it seeks to problem solve. If I can fix this, if I can solve this, then I will feel at peace, loving, free. I scribble things down, joyful,
Joyful.
yes, carefree, abundant, and giving. So do you see how you're still chasing a feeling by trying to fix it? Okay, nurturing, that might be it. Okay, so what you're wanting to do, what you really want is, I wanted you to look at this list. Are there 1, 2, no more than 3 that are like, these are the main feelings I'm after?
I would say, that's hard. Free,
Okay,
spontaneous, and creative.
okay. Okay. Now, when I help people with affirmations, like customized or personalized affirmations, because only you know what feels like, yeah, that feels
Actually,
better.
can I switch? I want to switch one out from abundant. I feel like abundant is really more,
Okay,
maybe, because spontaneous and free are similar to me. So I would say spontaneous, creative, and abundant.
okay, spontaneous, creative, and abundant. Okay. Now, once you get to the feelings, you will see that there's something that's in the way. There's a first level thing that's blocking you from actually, remember, those feelings already live in you. You already are whole and complete. Okay. When you stop seeking, there's space for them to arise, but there's something that's blocking the flow. All right. So it might be that you don't even believe it's possible. Or it might be that you don't know how. Or you might be that you think it's conditional, like something has to happen first, or I have to wait for it. So these are just examples. So what we want to do is, once you play around with what could be in the way, there tends to be that feeling of relief. So I wanted to, so I do if anyone's ever been to the eye doctor and you get lenses, they'll put on this set, they'll go, okay, this one or this one, A or B. And then it's like B. And then it's like, okay, B or C, right? So you dial it in. So let me try these on for size. Which feels better? Okay, A or B, the first one and second one. I am willing to feel spontaneous. What was the other word?
Creative.
Spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions. Or I'm willing to feel creative, spontaneous, and abundance no matter what is happening in my relationships.
Those both feel so scary.
Okay. So, all right, that's interesting.
But-
Okay.
But wait a minute, like when you said that, I was just like, oh my God, I don't know if that's possible.
Okay,
I mean,
not
truly.
possible. Okay, so then listen to that objection, not possible. Okay, now let's try this. I am willing to believe that it's possible to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions.
Yeah.
I'm willing to
That feels
believe it's
better.
possible. Okay, so you felt that. Okay, so how about A or B? I'm willing to believe it's possible to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions, or I'm willing to discover how to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions.
What was the first one?
Believe that it's possible, discover how. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and just feel in your body. I am willing to believe that it's possible to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions. I am willing to discover how to feel creative, spontaneous, and abundant under all conditions.
Believe.
Believe. Okay, so believe. Okay. Let me see if there's another one. I think it's like you said, immediately that was scary. I don't even know how that's possible. So, and then believe. So when you think about, this is your opportunity now. Okay. So play with that. I am willing to, this is your willingness mantra. I am willing to believe that I can feel spontaneous, I'm going to give you a couple more tweaks, okay? So we're going to stay with believe. And here's the thing, as you start to unwind yourself from the world of doing. When you are in the world of doing and you're focused on fixing and problem solving, you're also in the world of conditions. That's part of being selective. So the mind and the problem solver believes certain conditions must be fulfilled before I can receive that thing. That's transactional value. I must be productive. I must provide supply, and then I can receive money, approval, love, appreciation. That's transactional value. Innate value, which is your natural self-worth, which is you are born complete, whole, and worthy into this world, like the tree, worthy of the sun and the light, and that just comes in worthy, all right? You don't have to do anything. There's no conditions. So part of receiving is training, being willing to believe that you can receive. I call it reasonless receiving. You can receive just like the tree for no reason at all. No conditions need to be fulfilled. You don't have to do enough. You don't have to work hard enough. You don't have to earn it. That's natural self-worth. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that there might be some conditions here. Again, I have to nurture so that. So I want to tweak that a little bit, see which one feels better. I am willing to believe that it's possible to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions. Or I am willing to believe that it's possible to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant no matter what my relationships are doing or not doing.
Both sound good. I think the first one.
Okay, good. So play with that first one then. Take that one on. Okay. I am willing to believe it's possible to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions. Now, when you talked about your heart's desire, I'm going to say that from what I know about you, what you said, that place where you clicked on the control piece, what the heart's desire really, I think, tell me if this is true, but it sounds like you were really focusing on the relationships that have been challenging for you. Does that seem true?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and work too. Like,
okay,
it feels like
perfect. Perfect. So this is a
It's a
very,
work.
very powerful goal for you because it is far reaching in terms of so much impact in your life. Okay, so now this is how we work with the goals. Once you've got your willingness mantra, okay, the thing to remember is that your spontaneity, your creativity, and your abundance is right here, right now, in your being as a feeling that you have. It's already here. You already are whole and complete. You want to start to feel this, right? So every time a relationship at work, this is where you practice awareness, at work or family or whatever, triggers you, activates you, and you get into that like, you can feel it. You can feel your body go, I want to like fight it. I want to change it. I want to rescue it. I want to run away from it. It's overwhelming. I'm taking it on. Like you have that reaction. Okay. That reaction is your being feeling something. Experience. There's something here to be received right here, right now. You become present with it. That's what's present in your awareness. So you practice noticing and you stop. So this is the whole practice. And actually, this is going to tie into our third blind spot. But this is how you start to work with the goals. Okay. I'm actually going to stop myself from going down. I'm going to use this as an example later on. But this willingness mantra allows you to focus on the essence so that the form will come. We're going to talk about how the form comes as we move into blind spot number 3, about how to start receiving right now. Okay. But the place you want to practice is notice when you have that feeling and you're having what you don't want, that you want to fix, change, control, improve, stop, breathe. You bring your awareness to your body. And so let's say it's something at work and the relationship's triggering you. Just stop, notice, awareness. I am willing to believe that I can feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant no matter what, under all conditions, no matter what is happening in my world. You're going to eat this, breathe this, sleep this. This is your North Star. This is your way of being the embodied invitation, like the majestic tree, for everything that is in alignment with feeling this way. The form will come. Okay. And we're going to, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but receiving is incredibly simple. Less is more. The doer thinks more is better. I got to work harder. I got to do more. I got to figure this out. No, you just got to become aware, put your attention on the feeling that you want, be the invitation for it with willingness, and let life deliver. Okay. So,
Right.
Go ahead. Do you have a question?
No, I said great. I hope you wrote it down. I hope you wrote it down because I didn't.
It's on the recording.
Okay, good.
You can write it right. I'll give it to you right now if you want to write it down.
Okay.
I am willing to believe that it's possible to feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant under all conditions. Or as my coach used to say, NMW, no matter what, no matter what's happening, no matter what's not happening. I embellish, by the way, once you got your basic mantra, you can, anything that helps you stay in the energy of that feeling, go for it, right?
Okay.
So I used to do this with my mom because I felt so trapped later on when I was caring for her. I'm willing to feel the freedom that is my true nature under all conditions, no matter what she does, no matter what she doesn't do, no matter what she says, no matter what she doesn't say. I am willing, I'm willing, I'm willing. Like that I would just say that to myself, right? Okay, so I'm going to keep going because I want to honor our time. I've been a little wordy today. So let's go into your worksheet. So here's the essential insight on how to work with your goals, or the essential insights. Happily ever after is a path, not a destination. You receive your fulfillment on this path by walking this path. Happily ever after is a way of being. So when I say it's a way of being, this is you practice these practices, these awareness practices in relationship to life for the rest of your life. So everything you want is on this path. If you stand at the trailhead, you never get to receive it because it's on the path. So you can't just, standing at the trailhead is like, Sonia gave me all these great tools, but I never practice them. I know that's what I need to do, but I don't do it. Then you start to walk the path. You practice, you practice, you practice. And it's all in awareness. There's nothing to do. When in doubt, be first, which is be aware, practice awareness. The doing will come later. As you walk the path, which is happily ever after, it's walking the path, not a destination, you remain ever open to good fortune for the rest of your life. And the fulfillment comes from receiving what life is giving you. When it's painful, you will feel pain, but you absolutely minimize the suffering because you know how to nurture and to be the safest place in the world for you. And when it's the stuff you want, you experience it fully because you actually allow yourself to feel it and let it flow through you and know that even when this passes, like my babies just experiencing fully kissing their cheeks, because it feels so good, and feeling the sadness that they're going to grow up, but enjoying it because I know that life continues to offer kindness. And I don't just have to take the word of other moms who say there's joy at every stage of their evolution. You don't have to keep them babies, but so much of life is making peace with its impermanence. And you develop this deep trust that life always offers kindness. It isn't just trying to talk yourself into it. You experience it directly. So this is the essential insight for blind spot number 2. Let's talk about blind spot number 3. Okay. How to start surpassing your limits right now. Start receiving. So, how do you receive? Before we get into that, we're going to have a little conversation with your inner human doing. The practice of receiving, to the degree that your beingness was neglected, devalued, rejected, judged, or shamed, your doingness will want to take over. It's just what happens from being valued for doing. Okay, that's been your security blanket. So your mind will think, when I teach you about the practice of receiving, it can't be this easy. And the mind will seek to figure things out. Remember, you're going to get the recording and the slides. So if I'm going a little quickly, it's all going to be there. Your body will ask, what do I do? And seek to take action. And I know several of you here have encountered this very process of unlearning this struggle. Unlearning struggle happens when you replace something you've practiced and learned well, which is to problem solve and seek and take action to figure out, when you replace that which you've learned so well with something different. This different thing is the 3-step receive method. Learning to receive with ease requires practice. It is not difficult. It is often unfamiliar because it's been malnourished or neglected. It is so simple that these obstacles will come up, but it's not complicated. I always say it's an inch wide. The power of this is an inch wide. It's teeny tiny, 3 steps. It's 10 million miles deep. And just like the roots of the tree, it just keeps revealing and revealing and revealing new awarenesses, new experiences, new feelings, new fulfillments. And one of the things I've noticed now that I've been doing this long enough with the clients who keep walking this path is, especially showed up in my Focus and Flourish program, but it definitely shows up a lot in the Receive course too, is people will say, I can't put words to it. Like, I can't describe it. I feel so much better. I feel so much more peaceful. I feel so much more powerful. But they can't put it to words because they're not ideas, they're experiences. So that's how I always know, like, okay, this is really coming alive for people, the power of their being. So here's some case studies for inspiration before I teach you ALI, because I really want you to get, this is powerful. This produces results. This works. I'm going to give you a link where you can learn more and take next steps if you want. But the human doing needs to know that this works. So Shannon is an executive coach. These case studies have a lot more information, but these are just some quotes. So she says, I started to feel more confident and connected to my value. My work relationships improved, and my director gave me choice of assignment and said that he valued me. The ripple effect has spread to my marriage. For Debbie, I was able to start seeing results almost immediately. I'm now expecting a baby I've long waited for, found unexpected money, and received a provisional job offer. Erin, and these are, again, high-powered women. This is, former chief strategy officer at a National Association of Corporate Directors, board member Eileen Fisher. The results of my career and relationships are proof positive that the received model works. And Lisa, who's a singer-songwriter, money, music, and my short film all came to me. I didn't chase any of it. I have a lot of those stories too. Like, I just was practicing receiving and these things showed up. Like, I didn't have to do anything. So those are the kinds of things that happen. Then if you want to go deeper, I did some 10-minute student interviews with clients. So here's Marshall. He shared why he took the Receive course, which I'm going to let you know about if you do want to go deeper with this. I wanted to receive more and control less. What was most impactful that he was learning? I'm feeling safety, letting the unknown take form and show up. What he received from practicing this, in 3 modules, I've received $20,000 in business revenue with ease, and a living situation resolved itself and saved me money. And he'd recommend it. Bottom line, it works, it's simple, and it's really good for analytical people who need structure. And this is Jeff. He was drawn to receiving. He said, after great results with willingness mantras, I wanted to manifest everything that I want. What was most impactful that he was learning? Understanding the power of space, focusing on the feeling I want versus the form, and that my fulfillment is already here. So this is great to reinforce some of the things we've talked about. What he received from practicing this, in only 2 weeks, my muse returned and a song appeared fast, much less stress at home, clear solutions for my business, and clients appeared from nowhere. And he'd recommend it for anyone who's struggling with attracting the right opportunities, law of attraction people who want to fill in the gaps, anyone, if you really want to receive your greatest desires. So this is for your mind, because your mind will have a lot of objections to how simple this is. So here's the 3-step receive method. ALI. Feel free to take a screenshot. Again, you'll get the slides. So A stands for awareness. L stands for let it be here. And I stands for invite more or better. So remember the majestic tree. Okay, this is, if we were trees, this is for a conscious being, this is the equivalent. You practice noticing. Notice what's arising in your inner world or your outer world, your thoughts, feelings, and sensations. So what that does is it allows you to shift from reacting to things to being aware. Okay. Awareness is the thing that allows you to then access the power of choice, from reacting and fixing to stopping and then turning your attention inward. Awareness is the key to everything. Once we're aware, okay, then we want to turn our attention from here and outer focus to here, sensations and feelings in the body. So whatever you're noticing, and you don't have to name it, okay, you just become aware of it. You can name it if it's helpful. And a lot of times when we're unlearning struggle, the mind wants to name feelings or sensations. And when I work with people to teach them this in the Receive course, I really break it down, because there's so many things that are happening so quickly in a reaction that you don't even realize what's happening. So we become aware of what I want, what I don't want. So let's say you have a reaction, right? Let's say, Ruth, you got this whirlwind of things happening in your relationships at work, right? And you're having this reaction, you're feeling overwhelmed, right? So you become aware. In that moment, instead of being inside the reaction and the feelings, you've now created a little bit of space. So there's you and the awareness of all of this stuff is present in my space right now. So that reaction that feels like, or feels like fix, or feels like do, when you stop, it has so much stuff in there. So we slow things way down. So you might become aware of what you want. You might become aware of what you don't want. You might become aware of your fears. You might become aware of your beliefs. You might become aware of your expectations. You might become aware of you're feeling nauseous. Your chest is tight. Your stomach just did a flip. There's a knot in your stomach. So you just become aware. And this takes practice, but awareness keeps expanding. Then you move into let it be here. Let it be here is the opposite of control. So you can simply say, I let this all be here. And you can experiment with this. You experience it fully. You simply be with it. You observe it. You listen if there's a message. You say yes to it rather than no, which is what the hunter would do if it feels bad. You say, I see you. You ask you ask the sensation, what do you have to say? You might ask it what it needs. Whatever arises, it will do what it came here to do. As you breathe and let it be, there will be a moment that something shifts. Sometimes it shifts, sometimes it doesn't. You can just allow it to be here and then still move on to I. Then invitation. You invite more if it's something you like, or better if it's something you don't like. But it's just about being an invitation for life, for the next thing. So you can ask questions. The way that I love to teach inviting more better is these are two good starter questions. How does it get even better than this? If it feels bad, you've let it be here. If it feels good, how does it get even better than this? Thank you, life, for giving me this inspiration. Thank you for sending me this money. Thank you for resolving my problems. This problem, how does it get even better than this? Inviting more and better. You can also ask, okay, I've let this be here. It was challenging. What else is possible now? So you're not problem solving. You're allowing life to deliver to you. So I started this as if it's negative, challenging experiences like triggers. You also do this to expand your capacity to receive. When something good comes in, you become aware of this feeling that you wanted. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling, you need to become aware. Are you feeling abundant? Are you feeling creative? Are you feeling spontaneous? You want to notice when you're having those feelings right here, right now, because your consciousness is, I feel spontaneous, creative, and abundant right now. Feeling the way you want to feel right now manifests feeling what you want to feel right now. The form will take form. Like you're in right now instead of out there when, then separate. So you're nurturing right here, right now. That gets you out of seeking mode into seeing how it's already here. So it's not that the things that you want are not here right now. It's that you're not seeing them because our minds have been so in the groove of seeing evidence of lack, evidence of don't want, which then leads us to fixing. So a huge part of this practice is you're going to practice shifting from seeking to seeing. Seeing all the ways that the feelings you want are already here. And a great way to practice this is, let's say you want to feel free. Just stop and take a moment to explore all the ways that you are free and feel free that you take for granted. That's the magic question. We take for granted our abundance. We take for granted our freedom. We take for granted our health and well-being. So you get an ache and the pain, it gets all of your attention. I need to fix this. Meanwhile, Your bones are working great. Your lungs are filling with air. Your back is strong. You know, it's like, it's all right here, right now to receive, but awareness is the key. Okay. So that's ALI. You can start practicing that right now. Things to remember about ALI. Receiving is like breathing. If I say, okay, receive your next breath. And I say, hold on to it, keep it. Until you let it pass through you, you cannot receive the next breath. So we're receiving all day long, but we have to let it be here. We have to let it move through us so we can receive the next thing. Just like a sponge receives water, but it cannot receive anything new, upper limit, until we release the water or it's released and evaporated. And then it can receive the next thing, which life is always offering. You don't have to go get it. You cannot receive more without letting it flow through you, without the release, and release happens. Life provides everything. Your only job is to receive what is already here, unselectively. So for your worksheet, here's essential insight. Receiving right now allows you to shift from doing to being, from seeking to seeing, from pursuing to receiving. You can receive right now by practicing the 3-step receive method. Okay, so because I went a little long-winded today, I'm not going to do this section. Normally, what I did last time is I had students reflect back to me the essential insights. So I'm going to trust that you've captured them on your page, okay? And they're right there for you to review, and the recording will go out. But we've gone over 3 blind spots, where your power lies, how to work with goals, which includes the truth about happily ever after, and how to start receiving right now. Okay, your power lies in consciousness, and you access it by nurturing a relationship with it. You work on your goals by focusing on the essence so the form will come, and you start receiving right now by practicing this 3-step receive method. You receive what is already here right now, as opposed to seeking what you think is not here, and stay open, ever open to good fortune and the flow. So here are your next steps. And I invite you to take a picture if you want to just have this really accessible quickly. I encourage you to do your homework, which is for your 3 priorities from the assessment. Do this 3-part method. Write out your heart's desire. Identify the feelings. When I look at my heart's desire, I recognize that above all else, I long to feel, and then create a willingness mantra. And you can just fast forward to this section to get a little bit of, a review about how to really find the willingness mantra that feels good to you. Start receiving now. Practice as best you can, ALI, and start journaling about it, the awarenesses, okay? Now, tomorrow, we're going to have 2 Q&A sessions. So you'll have today and tonight to let this percolate. We're going to get the recording to you as soon as possible. And then I have Q&A drop-in hours tomorrow at 10 and 6 p.m. Pacific time. So bring your questions. And if the same Zoom numbers, we'll send out reminders. If you can't attend live, or if you can attend live and want me to address your questions, kind of prioritize them, I request, and I encourage you to send in your questions at that link, soniammiller.com/questions. It's simple, name, email, and your question. I'm going to prioritize them in the Q&A session. For those who sent in a question and are attending live, you get top priority, okay? If you attend live and didn't send it in, you'll be next priority, because I really want people to come to these Q&As. Interactivity is the most beneficial way to get your questions answered. And if you can't make it live, send in your questions. I will record my responses. If it's not within the Q&A session, I will do it. I will stay longer and I'll respond to those questions. So they'll be captured in the video, and then we'll send out the recordings, okay? Now, people who did the November workshop, I said that the first 25 people who registered would get a personalized video from me with a 90-day plan. So I just wanted to let you know that isn't available in this workshop. For those who were among the first 25, I will be sending that 90-day video recording plan by the 4th. Just a little update for those of you who will be watching this again. And so what I wanted to do is let you know some other next steps, so that if this inspires you to walk the path, this is a way that you can do it with support from the Receive course, which is 10 modules plus an orientation that walks you through the 10 powers of being, and we deep dive into the 3-step Receive method. For 11 weeks, all you do is practice receiving. So it starts on January 11th. It goes through March 23rd. You can go to receivecourse.com, and I'll be teaching it live. So this is what it includes. Live weekly trainings on Zoom. Those are on Tuesdays at 11 p.m. I'm sorry, 11 a.m. That's the bullet point over here. Oops, what just happened here? Okay. So live weekly trainings over here, they're at 11. This is what we focus on for 11 weeks. There are also 2 Q&A sessions every week that you can drop in on. That's included in the program. You'll receive weekly awareness practices, guided meditations, and you will, as part of the program, get your own Receive Oracle cards, and there's a companion workbook that guides you through ALI every day for 30 days. What was I going to say? If you've already purchased a deck of cards or the workbook, you will receive another set that you can gift, pay it forward, pass it along. Everything is recorded for any time you can't make anything live. Q&A sessions are emailed out every week. So that's like a ongoing, ever expanding library of topics. The videos have timestamps, so you can just fast forward to your topic of choice. And I'm excited to say that we are this year getting everything up on a new interactive learning management system. Very excited about that. So you'll be able to access it on any device, including your phone. Just press a button and you'll have access to the course and all other programs. So just know that it's very available in digital form. Student Hub, YouTube, and the new learning management system will be coming online. Also, if you've already done the Receive course, because it is evergreen, you have lifetime access. So anytime I teach it live, you get to do it again if you'd like. You always have access to the newest iterations of it. And if you've already done it and you want to do it again, or up level the experience, I'm going to be doing something brand new, which is I'll be doing weekly energy healings for 2 months that will match some of the topics that we're doing in the Receive course and relate to goals and dreams in different areas of life. So if you don't know about energy healing, there'll be more information where you can explore that. More emails are coming out, but that's a really wonderful compliment if you'd like to do that. So my invitation to you is, if this resonates, if you want to go further, this is an invitation to walk the path, not just know the path, with support to become a fortunate receiver. There's the link. If you register by the end of this year, you will receive full access to the Receive course online, so you can jump in and just get a head start. Some of you are already doing that. The Receive Oracle Cards and Companion Workbook will go out to you right away. You'll have access to the Q&A drop-in hours right away, which are Wednesday evenings and Thursday mornings. You'll also have access to the Start Receiving Now 30-day challenge, which is part of the Receive course. And that's 30 days of videos that are 5 minutes long. That gives you a teaching point. It's a micro teaching to start learning ALI and start practicing that in your life. And then I wanted to give a bonus to anybody who's ready to just, you know, follow their inspiration, to just be the wind beneath your wings. If you do sign up by the 31st, you will receive a 1-hour private coaching session with me that you can use anytime during the Receive Experience live training. So the Receive course is the curriculum, the Receive Experience is the live training. And we're going to just have an amazing, amazing time together in January. So that's my invitation. And as we bring this to a close, are there any questions before we say goodbye and then just watch for your emails? And just feel free to speak up if you have any questions or comments. Okay, is everyone filled up? Okay, so that's it for today. I want to thank you all for making space for yourself and joining me in this space. I hope that you were inspired. That was my goal above all else. And remember, the things that you learned here today, you can start practicing right away. Just start practicing those willingness mantras, practice being aware, practice receiving what's here now. And I really encourage you to journal, because the mind will have trouble seeing evidence, but the journaling helps you really connect with what you're feeling, what is showing up in your awareness. That's where the magic happens, because that's also part of the awareness of all of this. All right. So let's see, feel free to throw anything in the chat if you didn't feel like saying it out loud to me directly. And with that, I think we'll just wrap it up and I'll set you off for the rest of your day.
Thank you, Sonia.
It was great spending this
Thank
time with you. You're welcome.
Thank you. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.